All right, and we're back, and I'm eating, so we'll be pausing regularly so you don't have to hear me chewing. This is game three of Seto versus Tezuka in the Ultimecia finals, three-way finals. They also have to both face against Midas. I have been complaining the whole time that they have been underrating A's, and they have both gone to A's, which is a surprise to me. Um, yeah, I think Seto's A looks pretty well aligned with Tezuka's A, but you can see there. It's not just the 3-2 beats the 9. Tezuka's A2 might play off Seto's 2. There's some play both ways. But also, I was saying the way to beat Seto is to get ahead of him on hand making, and I was hoping switching to A's might be the way to do so, but it seems to no longer be. Against most players, like, I've had this kind of long belief that I will win longer matches against people, right? That, like, I don't need to win immediately. I can win a longer match. I can minimize mistakes. Eventually, they will screw up and I can win the match, right? And, like, the longer matches are inherently a good thing. And I think this against, like, everyone but Seto. Because I kind of think the chance for advantage against Seto is if his preference for dynamic cards happens to not work for the set, that you can punish that early before he adapts. But we have entered adaptation mode, and that makes this already really difficult task even harder. That said, Tezuka has his first turn, and he has a hand that looks built to play 4-1-7-6 and 2. It looks like there is an intended starter here. A2-5-9 covers anything that could go in 1 or 3, and 5-6-7-2 is a quite good recapturer, right? It's not safe, but it does induce 9-3-2A out of the opponent's hand if Seto wants to capture. And while that's not the same as safety, it is a valuable effect, right? So I think there's a decent chance we see that. If we just look directionally, yeah, I mean, it looks like Seto has cards for the 4 corners. So up, he has a 9 and 2 7s. To the right, he has 2 8s. Is there anything that sweeps 8s in Tezuka's hand? No, sadly not. Again, I have a rooting interest here. Though also, again, as I think I've said a number of times, if Seto wins this tournament, I will be very happy for him. I think it would be really cool for him to win an event in the return, as you know, one of the I think 4 true greats of tournament play, like one of the 4 all-time greats. There are many greats, but one of the 4 like all-time greats of tournament play, and he's playing, I think, more actively than he has been at any point in the return, and it would be sweet if he took a tournament win. I am rooting for Tezuka, but I would be very happy for Seto as well. Though don't tell anyone. Um, I'd even be okay with Midas winning, as tough as that is to say. All right, what's happening in the chat? All right, Tezuka was looking at 5-6-7-2 and 1 to start. Deli is going, you can't use your cards that are going to sweep. Now, it's not obvious to me that 4-1-7-6 sweeps, but you can see why Deli thinks it is, right? There are 2 7s facing up in the opponent's hand. There's a 4 facing up, the 7-1 could pick off, a 9 facing up, the 6-7 could pick off. Yeah, you can see why Deli like looks at this card and goes, I'm not using that, that has play. You can also see why Tezuka would use it first. It is the weakest card in the hand, and every card in the hand has a double recapture. And we have seen weak corners play well this match. Now, he's kept 5-6-7-2, which is important because it covers 9-3-2A, right? He's not conceding safety. And now Seto has to find somewhere on the board to start building something. And we'll see what he does, but I'm going to pause the video a bunch this game and probably not do much analysis because I would like to eat my meal. I just wanted to I want to cover the game somewhat, and we'll be trying to, but not in super depth. More just saying, what are they doing? What are they looking for? And can I enjoy my pasta? Man, Seto thinks so different from me. So like I said earlier, I like adjacent corners against weak corners. I think this is like a nice way to respond. But there's there's a face theory player in me, right? I'm saying like how can I create some challenge for the opponent? And Seto so often makes these moves, especially on second turn where I think there's higher cost to doing so, that do not create basically any challenge directly for the opponent and yet work really well. And here we can see there's a 3 facing to the right. But how can Tezuka take it? If he takes it with 7864, that's covered by 5476. If he takes it with 1987, that's covered by 5476. It's actually genuinely difficult for him to attack that card, right? Without using A259, but it's a kind of numbering that, you look at 7325 and you think, okay, I have a weak corner, but if I want to create any challenge, I have to use the 7 or 5. And Seto finds a way to do so with very weak numbers out facing. I stand by what I said, almost 15 years ago now about he's the master of the weak corner. He finds ways to make these moves that look not bad, but innocuous, but they just line up so well with his cards. And I mentioned this last time, but I think of matches I've seen, obviously I didn't see his Adia run, but of matches I've seen Akiyama play, his win over Seto in the Triad Wars 14 semifinals is the most impressive match I've seen him play, and one of the most impressive matches I've seen, because you can see how well Seto aligns it, so he will have all the combo play later on. And Akiyama managed to have the late game combo play advantage, which led to a bunch of ties and eventually a win. But it was managing to control an element of the game that I think Seto controls better than anyone, and can do so with, again, moves that are very obscure to me. Also notice his 932A cannot be stopped going to the left, so Seto controls a bunch of space pretty well here. I think like the default thing to do here is 7864 and 4. I think if you can't find something you like elsewhere, that's a reasonable thing to do. But Tezuka does tend to like not to block the in between square. I think the reason, by the way, that I suggest 7864 instead of like 1987 is not particularly keeping more power for later, though it probably does that, but was more that I want to flip 1, because again, it's hard for us to take 1. And it would be nice to play like 5, 6, 7, 2, and 2, blocking in 1, and not have to take it with a card that's either A259 or will be flipped. Because I think we got to keep A259. I think that's our big sweeper here, and I think I would try to play 4 and just direct the game so A259 sweeps the end game, which is unlikely to be enough to win. But if it's facing up left, right? If its final square is 8 or 6 or ideally 9, it's guaranteed a double capture, right? But I guess unless you put like 1987 and 8 or something. But you'll have control over that. It's essentially guaranteed a double capture if available. And that makes it difficult to lose. So my instinct is 7864 and 4. We do have a little bit of a left problem. But that's where I would be looking. And we will come back once a move is played. Alright, one random thought. If you play 78644 and Seto goes 2, right, then I think A259 is going to be good enough. It's hard to be in that much trouble. Maybe you are, but it seems hard for me to be in that much trouble. Now maybe 4895 and 2 kills you. I might be full of it, but like it seems like there should be tools there. If Seto goes in 8, I wonder if you can go in 2, force Seto to go in 5, block 5 himself, then go 3, and if A259 is a sweeper. I'm kind of just trying to find lines where A259 is a sweeper. But as I think I said, Tezuka tends not to play that in between square. Tezuka and Vid are 2 players that tend to really avoid it. Seto also, I don't think plays there that often, but I haven't seen that many Seto games. I'm worried about the up problem. But this does get rid of the 3 square, and we know 3 is a problem, right? If you were gonna play some distant move, I think it makes the most sense to block the 3 square. Okay. So one thing this brings to mind for me is, what if Seto plays 5-4-7-6 and 2? It's suddenly hard to find moves, right? You want to play 5-6-7-2 and 4, but you get comboed by 4-8-9-5. And if you have to use A2-5-9, your remaining cards are really weak. I think this is really dangerous. I think 5-4-7-6 and 2 is really scary. Maybe I'm missing something. I often am. But I'd be pretty scared here. If only 7-8-6-4 had a 5 facing down, then you might have ideas against 2 like A2-5-9 and 5, setting up that same in 6. But I think the cards just don't go together. Okay, Seto had picked up 5-4-7-6, but he puts it back down, which might mean he saw something there for Tezuka, which, very easily could be there. But it also might mean he saw something better for him, which would be very scary. Looks very scary to me. This looks extremely dangerous. Alright, and we do see 5-4-7-6 and 2. And this is real scary. So I think the first move we have to check. I think 5-6-7-2 and 4 is just dead. If you could set it up so you were guaranteed some combo at the end, but I don't think you can. Now the 9 and 2 picks up the 3. So if you could play 5-6-7-2 and 4, they go 4-9-8-5 and 5. No, you just no. It's not it. So A2, 5, 9, and 2. You go up 6-4. That's something. And if they go 5, maybe they just can't take enough. Maybe they just can't take enough. But if they play 4-8-9-5-5, I was thinking 1-9-8-7-8, where 5-6-7-2's 5 up is actually pretty good. But they can play 7-8-4-5-9. They combo the card in 8. So I think that doesn't work. And if that doesn't work, so you can't really go 1-9-8-7-4 because that gets comboed as well. Can you go 6? Maybe you can just go 6. Maybe you just block your card in, you keep A2-5-9 for later. Maybe 1-9-8-7? Probably 1-9-8-7. It's so scary because you're just giving away a bunch of cards. I think it gives up too much. Yeah, because I think 9-3-2A and 9 is just too strong. So maybe you have to do it with 5-6-7-2 and 6. 5-6-7-2 and 6. So my point is, if 5-6-7-2 and 6, I don't think this works, but here's the line I saw. 5-6-7-2 and 6, if they go 9-3-2A and 9, I think we can play 1-9-8-7. No, we can't. They have the plus and 5. Ah, shucks. Okay, I was trying to play 1-9-8-7 and 4, setting up a goofy S and 5, but they can block 5 with 7-8-4-5. Okay. Can you go A2, 5, 9, and 5? Makes it 6, 4. If Seto goes 4, he cannot flip 5. So say he flips 7 or doesn't flip 7. Either way, I want to follow up with 1, 9, 8, 7, and 8. Because we'll be up 6, 4, and the only double captures, we at least capture one back. And by putting A2, 5, 9, and 5, instead of 7, 8, 4, 5, the plus wall, and 9, we now have a same that lets us take that. So there's a chance A2, 5, 9, and 5. There's a chance for that move. Seems unlikely. What about 9, 3, 2A, and 6 in reply? We're down 6, 4. 1987 is so bad. 1987 is so bad. Yeah, I think that loses. We have something crazy in 8. Okay, the only capture in 4 is 4, 8, 9, 5. So what if you played 5, 6, 7, 2, and 8? Because your A2, 5, 9 controls 4, 8, 9, 5, and 4. Your 1, 7, 8, 9 is just so nothing. Yeah. All right, I don't see a tie here. I'm gonna start putting it into the solver, but I think Seto has done it, and I think Seto has done it by playing this weak corner in 1 that just won the game. Now, perfectly possible I'm missing something. Like it's very easy for there to be something. But this feels like it's it. Incidentally, I talked a bunch about ties counting in this tournament, and it turns out we eventually decided ties don't count, which is what I wanted. But if ties counted, Tezuka got the tie game 1. But yeah, if there is a save here, it's pretty hard to find, at least to me. Okay, I think the solver is suggesting there's a tie here. So I just haven't seen it yet. So this is a tie. Okay. There are 2 ties. I doubt this is one of them, but let's look. 9, 3, 2A, and 8. How's that, man? Because the problem is, all the times I looked at lines like this, 1987 and A259, 1987 was just too bad a card. Like, if they go 8, A259 can find a use, kind of, or 1987, but one of them is going to end up real clunky. Yeah, this was not one of the ties. Though not due to a move in 8. Alright. Hadn't checked other squares yet. What were the ties? Alright, 1987 and 6 was a tie. I thought 932A and 9 looked really scary. But you can then land A259 and 5, and A259 is safe to 4, which I'd seen in another line, but not here. That's okay, that's tough. What's the other tie? That's tough. 1987 and 8. I'd gotten to 5, 6, 7, 2, and 8, but 1987 walking into combo chains just didn't hit my attention. So I think this was a really difficult game to save in practice. Um, that didn't work. What about 7, 8, 6, 4, and 4 on move 3? All right, that does tie, but it doesn't mean it was an easy tie, right? Yeah, and there were a bunch of positions there where there were only 2 ties after their next move as well. Now those 2 ties might have been easier to find, but yeah. So I didn't actually see which moves were the winning moves, but it did say it was in 6. So I think Seto has done it. That 1987 was so clunky going up this game. That 2 facing down was just a devastating number. It is just, honestly, it's really incredible how much pressure and how cleanly Seto wins games. Just sticking a weak corner somewhere that just somehow creates insurmountable problems. Remarkable play. And congrats to Seto for winning this opening game. Yeah. Yeah. And it looks so I didn't find a save here. It looks like in the commentary Deli hadn't found one of the saves either. They looked really bad to me. Like I wrote them off pretty quick. I think that was one of the like of positions with more than one save. That might have been one of the hardest 5 moves left I've seen. I think the good options were so unappealing. Um, yeah. Well, I think Tezuka did really well here. Obviously, he still has a chance if he beats Midas and Midas beats Seto, but this certainly puts Seto in pole position. Uh, Tezuka's second finals in the return, and a really nice run where he's played really well. But Seto is tremendous. Uh, yeah. All right. I would like to finish my lunch, but I would also like to record the last few moves. So here's what we're going to do. Rest of the video will be on mute. You can see the last few moves, then I will end the video. Congrats to Seto, really nice win. Again, I think it's incredible how much pressure he gets out of innocuous looking moves that are not innocuous. I don't mean that as an insult. Like that's the most deadly kind of move, right? A move that looks like you're not doing much and in fact you're controlling the game is incredibly hard to play against. And I think all of these games looked just difficult for Tezuka to play. And just the numbers always line up so well for Seto. He has such a good feel for that. Yeah. So fantastic performance by Seto, who I think has played like solver perfect for the entire tournament. And also really well played by Tezuka. These were just like a number of difficult positions. And as I said earlier, you're only going to save so many, right? So, okay. Moving into muting and enjoy the rest of the game.